All right. Here we go. On these particular ones right here. Number 4. Notice I have a squared here. I'm going to solve them quite the same way to start off with. I'm going to add 1 to each side so that I have 4 sine squared x equals 1. And then I'm going to divide by 4. So I have sine squared x equals 1/4. Now here's what's different. I have a squared. So in order to find it, I have to what? Square root it. And I do to one side, I've got to do to both. And basically what's going to happen is this. I'll have sine x equals. And because I'm square rooting it, I can have a positive or negative. Remember, a negative times a negative makes a positive answer. And a positive times positive makes a positive answer. And the square root of 1 is 1. And the square root of 4 is 2. So now what I'm going to do is go to my unit circle. And I'm looking for anywhere y is, because sine is y, 1/2. And that's going to occur at all the pi over 6's. All the pi over 6's. Because that's exactly where the y value has moved 1/2, either positive or negative. So the answer number 7 then is pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, and 11 pi over 6. Now, something I forgot to mention on all the other problems is don't forget your plus or minus 2n pi. These particular ones here, we could have put just plus or minus n pi because they're going to still repeat. Now the tangent one's a little bit trickier. So as we look at it, notice we have actually 2 different problems right here. Set equal to 0. And so what we're going to do is, remember, if this parentheses is 0 or that parentheses is 0, the answer is 0. So let's separate them. So we have 3 tangent squared x minus 1 equals 0. Or just tangent squared x minus 3 equals what? 0. And to go ahead and solve this one, tangent squared x, well, that'll be 3 equals 1. I'm going to add 1 to each side, divided by 3. Tangent squared x will be 1/3. And because I have to square root it just like that other one, tangent x will be equal to plus or minus 1 over the square root of 3. I'm going to leave it like that. If you rationalized it, it would be square root of 3 over 3. But the 1 over square root of 3 will tell me more. Because basically, remember this. Tangent is y divided by x is equal to our tangent theta. Remember? So think about the unit circle. All the unit circle points, no matter where you're going around, have like right here you have the square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. And here you have 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. Just up here, this was the pi over 3. And this one will be the pi over 6 answer. Now think about it. Tangent is y over x. What would happen if I put 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2? Well, basically, 2's would cancel out, giving me what? 1 over what? Square root of 3. So I know these particular answers occur at what? Pi over 6. That's the positive one. But here's what's going to happen. Everywhere on the pi over 6's, you're going to have the same thing. It's just you're going to have what? One will be negative and one will be positive, or they both might be what? Negative. But I'm still going to have all those at all the pi over 6's. So I therefore know that this right here, over the tangent, we have as an answer pi over 6. Now we could have 5 pi over 6, and we could write plus or minus n pi, but I like it to kind of go all the way around the circle. I know we have 7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6, but notice the square root answers have 4. Within 4 answers as you go around the circle one time. That's what we're looking for, answers that occur around the unit circle once, but I still haven't even done the other half. Well gosh, what are you still going to do on that? Not much different. Look at this here. That'll be the same as the tangent squared x equals 3. A little ahead of myself. And then when we square root it, tangent x will be plus or minus the square root of 3. Which, remember, that's the same thing as what? Square root of 3 over 1. Which, instead of being the, now it's putting the, remember, if tangent y over x is putting this value right here On top of that one, they'll cancel out, which gives me just square root of 3 over 1, or just what? Square root of 3, which occurs at all the what? Pi over 3 places. All the pi over 3s. So now you look at a negative 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. That's 2 pi over 3. It's going to happen here and there. So now I've got all the pi over 3s. So here are all my answers. Those, plus pi over 3, 2 pi over 3. And once again, you can add plus or minus n pi. Or if you wanted to write them all to go all the way around the unit circle. So this particular one had 8 answers. Let's look at that. Technically you get by with 4 as long as you put down plus or minus n pi. And you can get by with 2 as long as you put down plus or minus n pi. Or you could write them all 4 down and plus or minus 2 n pi.